global Islamic finance asset. So now let's welcome our moderator, Ms. Ruslina Ramli, who is the Director of FinTech and Digital Islamic Economy at Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC, to navigate this session. Over to you, Ms. Ruslina.
Thank you, Organizer. Assalamualaikum, and a warm welcome to all viewers that have dialed in from across the globe. My name is Ruslina, and I'm extremely pleased to moderate today's very exciting session. And I hope to keep up the momentum as the previous session. I love the energy that's coming out from Lisa from Intelligent Solutions, and I'm sure my brothers in arms championing the same blockchain storyline is going to equally share exciting news and latest developments of what's happening in the market today. So we have today Dr. Kinan Salam, Head of Islamic Digital Economy in CF, Mr. Hamid Rashid, Founder, Tintera Technologies, and Professor Dr. Nafis Alam, Head of School of Accounting and Finance, Asia Pacific Universities. So allow me to set the stage by saying a few words. So the shifting sands of the digital and the business landscape has had a cascading impact to world economies. Technology has turned the tide on the pandemic as the world awakens to become fully digital overnight, and I'm sure everybody agrees with me on how our daily lives have been affected due to the pandemic. And blockchain has redefined economic sectors. We see this in MDEC, especially not only in the financial sector, but cutting across healthcare, insurance, and even social finance. So without further ado, allow me to ask my first round of fire questions to Dr. Kinan. Okay, so cryptocurrencies was the first to give blockchain the global spotlight as a digital business disruptor, but there's so much more to the application of blockchain. So based on KPMG's latest global data, first half of 2021, 8.7 billion of investments was spent for blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and this figure is expected to grow to 16 billion by 2023. Dr. Kinan, what's your take on this phenomenal changes that we're seeing now?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Lina, and all dear participants and panelists. So basically, first we need to differentiate between blockchain and the cryptocurrency. And I know everybody knows what's the difference, but because blockchain actually have been evolved within the evolution of the cryptocurrency, so still many people think about it, is cryptocurrency is allowed, permissible or not, blockchain permissible or not. And basically here I want to highlight something very important related to Islamic finance, that blockchain is a technology, and as any technology it comes to facilitate and make things easy, more transparent, right? And this is in line with what the Islamic principles in general. So it is encouraged to use those kind of technology. But then it comes to the application. What is the use case of the application of this technology? Now, the main application is cryptocurrency, and this is where many people, they start to ask, is it permissible or not? And then many customers, they were reluctant to use crypto or to use blockchain because maybe it is not permissible. However, it has been a long debate in the last few years among Sharia scholars, and then we already have the resolutions from the Sharia Committee of Security Commission in Malaysia about the permissibility of using a cryptocurrency. So, of course, within specific rules. So that opened the door for what is other use cases for blockchain. Now, if you look at the Islamic finance, you have many aspects or components. You have the capital market, you have the Islamic banks, you have the takaful, and you have the Islamic social finance. So from the capital market perspective, of course, cryptocurrency is, I would say, for blockchain application is the king. And this is where the new asset class coming in the market, and many people now want to invest in this asset class. And actually, it is volatile with high volatility. But again, this high volatility is actually what attracts many people to go there, because high volatility, it may mean they have extra profit or exceptional profit. Of course, it also comes with the risk, with the high risk with it. Now, besides the cryptocurrency, there are also other applications have been developing or at least prototyped in Islamic finance. So, for example, today there is a report of blockchain sukuk. which try to cover all the aspects of blockchain. So we also try to have a case studies, and which already have been applied by, for example, Blossom Sukuk in Indonesia, which is based on blockchain. So the idea of that blockchain provide the transparency and increase the trust and the efficiency of the contracts, encourage many of the players to go for it. Now, one of the main and interesting aspects for blockchain actually is the Islamic social finance, and this is where it comes to the zakat and waqf. And the reason is very clear that when people want to give their donation, their zakat, their giving, their waqf, their alms, they want to see what is the impact of this. They want to be sure that yes, our money is going to the right direction and we can see the impact. So transparency is very important. Trust is very important. And this is what actually blockchain promised, to provide this kind of trust and transparency for the customers. And this is where we see now, we already saw many papers prototype about using blockchain for Islamic social finance, zakat and waqf. And now we already now seeing the project, pilot project to develop those prototype in the real market.
Okay, thank you. I would also like to mention that, you know, MDEC is working together with INSEF for iConnect FinTech Initiative clients. So that's a huge milestone in terms of evolution in building a collaborative effort. State agencies like MDEC with neutral parties like INSEF and other parties of fintech players in trying to attract new talent and ideas for blockchain. If you could just a little bit more in terms of spilling the beans on how blockchain could actually help in terms of, say, the distribution and the circulation of zakats based on the applications that you've received, Dr. Kinan.
Okay, so thank you very much for highlighting this, and this is very important. We're bringing together the players and try to hedging and find how the solution can go. Now, the main idea here actually is to have a successful use case, and this is where we try to bring together the players from zakat and waqf and the fintech company, the blockchain companies, to work together to build this. So basically, the main idea again is about, if I want to put my money, how I can see the transparency and the impact of my money until it go to the last or to the end beneficiary. So this kind of process is very important. If I can track it until the end. What we have right now is kind of black box. You put your money, you don't know what's happening there, right? So this is we received like few application on this. And while previously we heard about this story, like this company, for example, we have a solution, that company, we have a solution, but those solutions was not tested. So what we have now in iConnect, that those solutions now are collaborating with the zakat and with the waqf institution to test it in a pilot project and to see the impact. And once we have those successful cases, we can actually not just do it in Malaysia, we also can export it to the global market.
Fantastic. I mean, MDEC stands in terms of, you know, your full support, and we look forward to who is going to be the lucky ones to receive this grant. And I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be one of our MDEC's tech or fintech players. Over to Inchi Hamid. I would consider Fintera one of the forerunners, if not pioneers. You know, ever since me being in the Islamic finance space, I've listened to you in several conferences, and we would appreciate your feedback. And in terms of, like, you know, the issuance of the guidelines of the digital asset exchange, they came out from the Securities Commission last year, and also the approval of the 5 Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, being Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Ripple, and Litecoin. So what we've seen now is pure investments, but we want to see how those investments can actually be, like how Dr. Kinan mentioned, tokenization. So what are Fintera's initiatives in trying to expand this breadth in terms of product range and some of the opportunities as a tech company locally and also abroad? Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Roslina. I'd like to thank Iskandar, the next program, Ignite, and MDEC, I think, for putting this together. Is really timely, addressing blockchain and blockchain applications, not just cryptocurrency, but applications themselves. Now, to answer your question, on the 5 approved cryptocurrencies and what the stand of the regulators are, you need to take, one step back to understand the background of this. Now, back in 2016-17, when there was a big craze of ICOs in Malaysia, there were hundreds of ICOs happening. regulators at that time did not understand the technology, neither the scope of what could actually, come out from cryptocurrencies or even blockchain applications. So, it took about 1.5 years for the regulators to catch on. And if you recall, January 2019, Securities Commission came out with the first draft of the ICO, STO, and IEO, the DAX regulation. Now, the build-up towards that was bad experiences, right? The market went through bad experiences in failed projects. So in 2016, 17, and until mid of 2018, there were hundreds of failed projects, not just locally, but regionally and globally, right? By then, by mid of 2018, I think the community that was using blockchain or believing in blockchain did not see any feasible, viable projects materializing, and they started losing interest in it. Okay, so that's where you see, if you really track, cryptocurrency prices, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up 2017 till December 2017. It touched about 20 plus K US dollar, and then started sliding down to almost 6K by mid of 2018. And then from there, based on the credibility of the projects, have been taking traction ever since. So that's the background. Now, what those regulations, when they came up, what those regulations were looking into. Now, as a blockchain person, IT person, that's my background, right? And as an innovator and entrepreneur, I'm looking at always out of the box, right? But unfortunately or fortunately, the regulators are always looking at things in the square. For them, there is nothing outside the square, okay? So their biggest concern, so now we need to appreciate that there is a serious concern, and it is for the safety of the nation and safety of investors and the community to put everybody in those defined boxes, now called licenses or regulations, right? Number one was the KYC AML regulation or CFT regulation, know your customer, anti-money laundering, and the terrorism financing. So there were a lot of projects in 2016, 17, where money laundering was, charges were placed on those projects, and those projects were shut down. So number one thing that the regulators were interested to enforce was the KYC AML, all right, on those projects. Second thing was the cross-border movement of funds. That was the second concern, that Malaysian ringgits are getting converted into whatever crypto, right, whether native tokens or other blockchain-based cryptocurrencies, and they're leaving the country, right, and getting converted into other currencies. And this is outside the existing cross-border remittance framework, right? So this was the second part they wanted to clamp down on, that cross-border has to be by consent of the regulators, okay, and within the licensing framework. And the third area I think the framework was looking into was business use cases which are serious, right, and not just fluff that was there in 2017 and 18. So based on, since then, what has happened, right, beginning of 2019 till now, if you really look at it, certain number of exchanges have been licensed in Malaysia by SC. So Luno, Remitano was one of them, and few others got licensed, and it has been working out quite smoothly, right? So you can now convert your ringgit, load your wallet, and from your ringgit you can convert into the 5 cryptocurrencies. Also, the ICO have been clamped down, so you don't see now any local ICOs happening. If there is one ICO or STO, it is regulated based on the framework that is defined. Okay, so it has to be licensed, and only then it can launch. Now, what that has done, right? It has cleaned up the market for serious projects to actually take root, and you can see that since 2019, certain number of serious projects in the country, which are homegrown projects, have started. So one of them is, of course, Fintera's Wakaf chain that we launched at Bank Negara in February of 2019. So Wakaf chain got an endorsement on raising capital for Wakaf development through sale of token. and also the traceability of the fund, which is cash wakaf. So that was a big project that has been growing quite a lot. And then there are a few other projects which are around tokenization of gold, tokenization of securities like sukuk and bond and other securities. So those projects have, kind of taken root. So I would say that regulators have gone in the right direction. Yes, it has taken time to get to the stage where we are, but where we are now, right, we are looking at a boom coming on in 2022 based on, if you look at the IFN fintech report and the number of fintechs that are coming into the space is massive. So now it's only a matter of time that the explosion is going to happen. And I foresee that it should be in 2022.
Yeah. Mohammed, if I could also ask, you know how you were part of the ecosystem in the regulations and discussions with our Securities Commission, and there's always concern because of the link of Bitcoin together with cryptocurrencies, there's always issues in terms of systemic risk. So how has that been addressed? And moving forward, concerns like for the likes of buy finance, that has been clamped down, will not recur again, or it gives an awareness to individuals who want to invest in investments such as blockchain to be a bit more wary.
Yeah. Now the regulators, especially Securities Commission, has had some kind of consultation to decide on the 5 cryptocurrencies that they have approved, right? So which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, and Bitcoin Cash. So these are the 5 recognized and registered. Now, I wouldn't say that I know what was the exact criteria behind that, right? Because I would be a little bit questionable, especially on some of them. Now, I was involved very early on in Bitcoin. I think 2016 itself, I was involved in Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin Cash came out, I was part of the supporting team of Bitcoin Cash. And based on that, I got a lot of free Bitcoin Cash, that is in March of 2017. A lot of Bitcoin Cash was given to me. It had no value. It was zero. But what I did, I just took it and kept it. And today it's already at 650, 700 US dollars per Bitcoin Cash.
So you're a billionaire.
Not really. I wouldn't say there were millions, but yeah, I got a lot of free token coins at that time. So the selection criteria of the regulator is still not very clear, but yes, they have selected and approved 5 cryptocurrencies. Now, the best part is that now openly in Malaysia, you can register on one of the exchanges, go through the KYC AML process, and convert your ringgit into one of these cryptocurrencies, either for store of value or for exchange purpose, or even cross-border remittance purpose. You can do that, right? But to me, the best part, what it is that you can do with this 5 cryptocurrency, you can adopt them as a native token to your project. Okay. Example, the Wakaf chain. We are already toying around. Why don't we start receiving crypto Wakaf? Right? So why is it just somebody giving cash Wakaf as a ringgit? Why not give crypto Wakaf, right? And the same crypto then can be deployed either on a spot trade or even as a crypto into Wakaf development, right? And any ROI paying out and all that can be on the appreciation of the currency, right? So these are new fields that are coming out, and there is no straightforward answer because, as Dr. Keenan mentioned, is still 50% of the ulama will say is halal or haram. We still don't have a fatwa from anywhere in the world. Okay. Yes, there are a lot of ulama who are saying that yes, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is Sharia compliant. But then equally, there is another group that is saying it's not. So today, I think that is the key concern for innovators like us to adopt it at a mass scale and get hit by it, or to go gradually. And I think that's what Fintera has done. It has gone gradually and used smart contracts versus using cryptocurrencies. So today, in the use of smart contracts in cash Wakaf management, Wakaf registration for transparency, traceability, versus actually issuing cryptocurrency or accepting cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the next wave. I mean,
yes.
As you know, Malaysia is the global leader in sukuk issuance, but predominantly a lot of our sukuk issuance are debt-based. So I would love to see the evolution in terms of how we can convert
Yes.
our position for it to be tokenized, and instead of being debt based, it becomes investment based sukuk issuance. And I'll pause there as we move to Dr. Nafis. Equally important in the ecosystem is to ensure that we have sustainability in terms of talent management, and Asia Pacific University has been one of the active ones in engaging with MDEC, with other universities, also state agencies. Please share with us what are your core goals, and how players such as ourselves can be part of this storytelling in building Malaysia's ecosystem with regards to blockchain.
Thank you, Lina, for your question. And I was listening to Kinan and Encik Hamid earlier. I was like really much fascinated that we were all talking about cryptos. And I think I missed the boat when Encik Hamid got some Bitcoin Cash. I think if I have known you, I would have roped in myself to make some money out there. But coming back to the discussion and the question you have put through, Lina, is we all talk about blockchain, we all talk about fintech, we all know about Bitcoin and how much speculative it is. I'm on the critical side. I've always been critical of Bitcoin, so I do talk about speculation and volatility in the asset itself. But talking about the knowledge, I just want to share some statistics which will help the audience to understand. Globally, if I look into the overall usage of blockchain and its related industry where it is applied, it's only 0.5% of the global population who might be actually using any byproduct or the implication of the blockchain. At the same time, almost 50% of the global population will be having connection to the internet. So we can see there is a huge potential where people can get aware about blockchain and its application. And now whenever we talk about blockchain, the most common thing which comes to our mind is cryptos, and that's the most applicable one because the money is there, right? But we do forget that why or what are the incentive of having blockchain as the infrastructure or as the underlying mechanism for the processes we are talking about. And we have heard all the good thing what Fintera is doing, especially for the Wakaf management, and even Dr. Kinan mentioned about the social finance. Definitely those are the applications happening. But we also do not forget is that blockchain is not only for the finance or the Islamic finance or the financial services industry. There was a recent report by the Blockchain Data which talks about that almost 80% of the top 100 public listed company which cut across various domains are applying blockchain technology, and they are not here to do anything related to finance. They are more here to improve the efficiency or the transparency of the work. On the sideline, I also read a report very recently by Mambu and FT, which talked about, this was a title called Evolve or Extinct. And it mentioned that most of the financial institutions, especially in the Asia Pacific, are lacking behind the peers in the developed part of the world. And one of the reasons they found that it was a lack of the IT skills, and especially with the skills related to the fintech, as well as related with the blockchain as well. So when we're talking about developing blockchain or using blockchain or being, applying blockchain into different industry, who will be the user or who will be utilizing it or how it will be utilizing it all comes down to one important thing, which is the knowledge. How many people are aware of it, for example? Again, we do appreciate that, there are a lot of universities now started embarking on it. APU did started the first university in the country to have a fintech program, and we got a lot of support input from MDEC at the same time. Also from that time, we have the Supercharger was partnered with the MDEC, and that's how they came into on the picture as well. And later on, we also worked with Fintech Association. And now we can see that even the likes of Taylor's, likes of UCSI and other, and even from the UTM, for example, they are going into fintech education. But again, we need to understand that blockchain should not be only taught in the finance school, for example, or not only taught in the technical side of the computing and all. It needs to be taught across as the area across every discipline, because it is impacting every discipline. So I will be wrong to say that being a finance person, I'm only supporting blockchain for fintech. So there should be an initiative, and it needs to be a coordinated effort effort. It can be a national agenda where we need to educate our graduates who are going to move into the into any type of job, because blockchain is going to cut across every aspect. And talking about Islamic finance, we have distinction of having NCF, the Global University of Islamic Finance, which started in 2007, and MDEC itself has the Islamic digital economy as one of its vertical and looks into the development of that. Why can't we have a status where we are looking into the Islamic fintech development and look into the development of blockchain knowledge across the institution, and we can groom the next cohort of generation for the people to work in the industry? I can continue on, Lina, if you allow me, but I'm cautious of the time.
I completely agree. And, just to inform the audience, I'm just talking to Dr. Nafiz in the morning, and we're trying to see how we can have like a top-down approach in terms of industry dialogue, invite, the likes of Hamid and also Dr. Kinan, and hopefully some sponsorship as well, in terms of trying to develop, the local communities in terms of awareness, the gig workers, individuals such as myself, we want to make extra income on the side, opportunities in terms of, what can be done, and it's open to all in terms of who wants to be part of the storytelling. So I'm very
for extra money, you should contact Enchik Hamid if we have extra Bitcoin cash for that purpose, and I will be interested as well.
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Share it. Okay, so my last question, and this is in light of the 12 Malaysia plan, which was launched in 27th September, just 3 days ago. And if anybody wants to run through it, Islamic finance is featured very prominently. And there will be a lot more initiatives, and Bank Negara has even informed us that the blueprint that's coming out may feature digitalization as one of the core pillars, and we see the same thing happening across a lot of the blueprints and the roadmaps that would be coming out soon. So seeing how Malaysia is the global leader, how do you see blockchain and its application in Islamic finance continue to be Malaysia's trailblazer as in our pursuit to become a global leader in Islam, in this space? We'll start with Hamid first, and then we'll rotate again.
Yeah,
the guy with the Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about this space of Islamic finance, where Malaysia has held the leading position globally for now almost coming to 2 decades. And after 2 decades, a new opportunity has opened up, which is technology base or fintech base, irrespective of blockchain or but I just say fintech. Now, blockchain has further opened up additional streams that can be created in this fintech, and it's not just limited, but it's unexhaustive. So I feel that based on the 12 Malaysia plan, 3 critical things have been addressed, which were very painful in 2020, and I remember pointing this out in a lot of my sessions at Securities Commission and many other government agencies. Number 1, we are lacking the right talent and the human resource development for blockchain and the new technologies. Okay, so if we are still programming our websites using PHP, no harm in it, but I think those days are gone. Let's move forward. Let's look at the latest technologies, right? We don't have the manpower and the talent for that. Quickly, we need to build, and you can see that in the last 1 year, what HRDF, PSMB has done is to go into very detailed initiatives in talent building from grassroots level. Okay, so that's the first. Second one is the access to capital, okay? The venture capital for startups and all that. So programs like iConnect, many other programs have come out from MOSTI, from SME Corp, from MDEC, and so many, where the seed funding is being made available to startups to try out those innovative ideas. If you don't try it, you don't know whether it will succeed or it will pan out or not, okay? And the third one is that the enterprise industry out there, like the big Islamic banks, they must entertain people like us with our innovative little ideas, because without their help and without them piloting our ideas, we will never get onto the right track, or we will never know that this actually works in real life or not. So iConnect is for the first time putting industry, fintech, and research together, as well as there are a few other programs that are doing this now in the market. So I foresee that in 2022, when the actual results will come out of those programs, you will see that they will be a breakthrough in performance of those startups.
Yeah, again, I think that's a very good point. And as MDAC being the ecosystem partner, I'm happy to inform you that we are currently in engagements with the likes of Malaysia Takaful Association of Islamic Banking, trying to gather as much problem statements as possible and trying to see how the demand can be sustainable in feeding the supply for our tech and fintech players. And definitely, this collaboration with agencies and also private sectors is extremely critical in ensuring that the storyline and sustainability of opportunities for blockchain in Islamic finance continues. Dr. Kinan, your take.
Okay, thank you, Brother Hamid. You beautifully summarized the 3 points that I want to talk about. So I will emphasize on the same points, but maybe from solution part. So basically, yes, talent is very important. But here I want to say something. What we have right now, we have universities, they try to have, for example, a blockchain, master in blockchain or master in fintech or something like this. So they are starting to building from the scratch. Now, why we not have something like, okay, one good university, provide 3-4 courses in fintech or blockchain, and that's it. And then the other universities just send their student for that university for online, right? And it is not an additional courses for the student, and this is very important. Now, what's the student suffering is, I need to study, for example, 10 courses, and now there is, this is something called blockchain, I need to study extra things and pay for that one. So don't make it like this. You need to replace some of those courses who is studying right now with the 3-4 courses of blockchain. So you are not burdening him, not financially, and also not in time. So this is very important to universities to think about it, and not just universities, also the Ministry of Higher Education, to find a way to facilitate this kind of collaboration among university, and at the end of the day, to the benefits of all the students. So I believe this is one of the first build block that should be there for the talent. The second thing for the fund, this is very important. Right now, there's a really lack of funds for Islamic fintech. Now, for example, I'm a Islamic fintech company. I apply for one fund, and finally, if I receive the fund, I realize that this fund is not Sharia compliant, so I cannot get it, right? And they are not willing to actually to change the term and the terms of the contract. And surprisingly, it happens with one of the firms that apply to one of the accelerator program, that one of the main cohort is Islamic finance and Islamic fintech. And when they receive the fund, it is not Sharia compliant, the contract. So this is a very real issue for the Islamic fintech to have those kind of solutions. So this is where accelerator program, fund, government support and fund should be also in a Sharia compliant way. And the third part actually is about the collaboration. What we have right now, we have kind of a safe bubble. So Waqf Zakat institution, they are working on their safe bubble, banking, safe bubble, startup, they have safe bubble, researcher, they have safe bubble. They are not talking to each other. There are no bridge, right? There's a gap, there's no bridge. So I believe those kind of programs where you bring people together, start working together and incentivize them to work together, having grant support for them to work together. This is one of the things where we need to really build successful cases for the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the point noted, and we will speak to Ibrahim from Ignite to ensure that he is one of the core leaders in trying to promote this and ensuring that there is a success story and specific milestones. Last but not least, Dr. Nafis.
Yeah, thank you, Lina. And I think some of the sentiments have echoed by Encik Hamid and Dr. Kinan. But just I want to add on, Malaysia stands in a very good position when it comes to the fintech application Islamic finance. We have always been the front runner. We have the distinction of being the highest issuing of the sukuk, for example. We started in terms of the education, research. We have been number one for a very long time in a lot of Islamic finance aspirations. But when it comes to the fintech application Islamic finance, it sometimes it's very difficult. For example, barring what Fintera is doing, for example, we don't have a homegrown Islamic fintech fintech solutions in the country, which can be promoted and which can be exported outside Malaysia, and it can become like a trademark for that. I really appreciate what Fintera is doing, and I have seen Enchik Hamid speaking at various international platforms in that aspect to bring that Fintera name out there. So coming back to the actual application, and I think Dr. Kinan initially talked about the report which was recently published on the blockchain application in Sukuk. Sukuk is a huge potential for blockchain right now. And for example, a market with a 600 billion of outstanding Sukuk, or at least 150 billion on a daily, on a yearly issuance, we cannot even have double digit application of blockchain in Sukuk, and when we go for a global sovereign Sukuk, this is going to be the change maker, because we are interacting with different parties. We want to make sure that it is being accepted, it is being attracted to the global community. And how to attract them, to make it more transparent, to the information sharing is easier in order to trade, or in order to invest into those solutions. So where is the aspiration? I think there is a two group of thoughts we are looking at. One is promoting blockchain, fintech, and other group is only looking at talking about Islamic finance. But where is the synergy? And I think Enchik Hamid did mention that there's again a lack of discourse between the industry, the regulators, the policymakers, as well as the educators. So I think in order to move this industry together, I think all of us, I think we come from different various aspects. We all need to work together, and maybe if we are meeting again in 1 year time, we will be in a better position to say that we have achieved a lot in last 1 year after this round of discussion, and that should be the way forward, Lina.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, we don't have to wait 1 year. There could be specific milestones or targets that we do. So, and as I continuously engage with, Fintera is one of our core fintech players and the MDEC, and then we continue our discussions with INSEAF and also Nafis. And I hope the whole industries continue in terms of the proactive engagement. So, if I could quickly just wrap up, and sum up some of the key takeaways for me personally has been that blockchain is only touching the tip of the iceberg. The application has got so much opportunities that can create value, especially in bringing up Malaysia's name into the international space as we continue to attract tech and fintech players and make Malaysia the heart of digital ASEAN. We would see that the benefits in terms of the commercialization, funding, and issues that are currently being raised is slowly addressed through this continuous dialogue and opportunities. So I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to my brothers in arms, Encik Hamid, Kinan, and Dr. Nafis, and we look forward to engaging with you again. Assalamualaikum, and a very good evening, everybody.